Hi there, I'm Jay and I'm training to be a Demongains athlete, uh, which is very inspiring. It's something that I started myself. I was diagnosed with mental health in 2016, so I'm doing another VT on mental health because it can creep up on you um, when you least expect it. I got very ill, as a lot of you will know from reading my blogs or seeing previous videos. So I'm just again making mental health known, giving a bit of awareness to it, um, and yeah. So basically, I find even though in a way that I've kind of beat mental health, because I went from having a psychosis and intervention team for mental health that's coming around to my home to come and see me like once every 3 weeks, and I had this like for 2 years. Very close friends and family would know of this. It's something now that I'm very open about. I'm happy to talk about. If people want to ask questions or people want to message me, or if people are going through a struggle or a bad time or that kind of chapter in their life where they because it's very easy to feel like no one gets you. It's very easy to feel like no one understands. It's very easy to feel that you're very much on your own. Even you could have the best friends in the world, you could have the greatest family in the world, but people always judge people, no matter who you are, where you come from, what your background is, anything like that. It doesn't matter. When there's a problem or there's a situation, people change. That's just natural. That's just life. So it's I reach out to a lot of people. I have a lot of people asking for advice. I have a lot of people saying, "So how did you become so confident, Jay? So how did you get to where you are now?" And it's quite simple for me. I mean, everyone's situation is different, but for me personally, it was my grandparents. Um, with Granddad having Parkinson's, and now with her health, having a quadruple heart bypass, I had to get fit. I had to get strong to look after the grandparents, as being the closest family member to the grandparents. I knew that I couldn't give up. I knew I had to find something inside of me to fight and to keep pushing, um, and to believe in me again, because I went through at a stage where I was my own biggest critic. I didn't believe in things like relationships. I didn't believe that I deserved her. I didn't believe that though someone who I thought was attractive at the time, um, gorgeous, great ways about her, could be interested in someone like me. Even though you got all your friends saying, "Oh, but Jay, oh, but you're a catch, oh, but you're a nice guy," but when you're mental, mentally analyzing yourself, and with not everyone knowing of your condition at the time. I mean, I was under Section 2 under the Mental Health Act, hence why I had home visits like for 2 years. Um, it's nothing I was ashamed of at the time, but able to focus where my thoughts were, to where my head was at. I had to really work with the crisis and intervention team that was making sure that I wasn't suicidal or I didn't want to do anything stupid. Um, my anger at times was bad. I mean, looking back, um, it's best to be open. I hated myself then, uh, to be fair. So doing this VT, where you get to express what you went through, where your mindset was at about feeling low, not good enough. You sort of then rebel. So like anyone that's trying to get close to you, but you just push, and you push them away so far that when it's too late, they've already made up their mind about you, and you know inside that you're not that person that you've come across, but you can't mentally, you can't control it, and you can't sort of like switch on and like switch it off. So when you want to tell someone, well, no, actually, wait, I do like you, or no, actually, I do care, or no, actually, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say them things. You can't. Mental health is a condition. If you like, you can't just pick and choose to what mood that you're going to be in. Mentally, you can try and work it out for yourself. Try and put on a fake smile. Try and laugh and joke like with all your mates, so that no one thinks that anything's wrong. And at the time, I was very in denial in the way that you tell people that you're fine. And I want to let people know that it's okay to admit if you're low. It's okay to admit if you don't feel good enough. It's okay to admit if you don't feel like if you don't generally feel good about yourself, if you're not confident, if you lack self-esteem, if you lack motivation. So my advice, having now sort of beaten mental health and living my life, living in a nice flat, which I've had now for 2 years, working hard, saving, doing all the things I love, gym. My life feels on track. It feels like there's purpose. So my advice to anyone that's struggling and feeling low, it's you've got to accept it. That was my biggest mistake, was not accepting it sooner. And if I could give one really, really strong, important advice, is to never be embarrassed, or you'll never be shy or distant with them which you are closest to, which are actually generally looking out for you. There's nothing to be ashamed of with wanting for help. There's nothing to be ashamed of to admit that you're scared. There's nothing to be ashamed of to admit that you can't cope. So basically, so if anyone is feeling these things, please do DM me, and I'll try and message everyone back as soon as possible. Just, you're not alone.